In this slide, I'm going to talk about information. The ACRL, Association of College and Research Libraries, has developed a framework for information literacy in higher education. According to the American Library Association, information literacy is a set of abilities requiring individuals to recognize when information is needed and to have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. The internet is wonderful, but it has also created instances of information overload and made it somewhat harder to distinguish what information is appropriate to use in academic scholarship or even in everyday life. So what is information? Information is made up of data. Data is numbers, dates, names, and places. For example, 50,000 and California. Alone, those two sets of data could be applied to any number of things. Information is data that has been processed for meaning. 50,000 teachers are needed in California. The data has been processed and manipulated to give it some sort of meaning. Information, then, is data that has been manipulated and expressed for some purpose. Here is another example. Data could be my SAT scores. Now, most of us, because of our knowledge, know that low SAT scores usually doesn't mean anything good unless I'm trying to avoid college altogether. Information then is the context of these SAT scores. And here, wherever you wanted to go, you're not getting in. Data can be manipulated in any number of ways to convey different information. Knowledge is based in information. It is information that we have been exposed to and retain. This can be through formal education and training, experiences, or interests. You may have heard that knowledge is clouded by judgment. We tend to retain what we consider important information, and we tend to seek information that validates a viewpoint or idea that we have. Funds of knowledge is the expertise that people and their family members have because of their roles in their families, communities, and culture. We all have funds of knowledge, experiences, which shape the way we seek, process, and retain information. Authority. Information resources, whether it be a book, a news article, or a TikTok video, reflect their creator's expertise and credibility, and are evaluated based on the information need and the context in which the information will be used. Author and authority come from the same word in Latin, auctorum, which means founder. There are many ways in which someone can be an authority on a subject or idea. Subject expertise, such as from formal or informal education, societal position, which is often held in very high regard in many cultures, and special experience. An example I like to give is the authority of a professor of the Holocaust and the authority of someone who experienced the Holocaust firsthand. We tend to think of authority as a hierarchy. At the very top is the person with the most authority over everyone else in the subject area, but it doesn't work that way. Authority is contextual, and both the professor and the Holocaust survivor have authority, albeit differently. Information creation. Data is manipulated into information for a reason. Information in any format, whether it be a textbook, YouTube video, or news article, is produced to convey a message and is shared via a selected delivery method. The iterative process of researching, creating, revising, and disseminating information vary, and the resulting product reflects these differences. Some questions to ask yourself is, why was this information created? Who created it? What is the creator's authority? Who is the intended audience or consumer? From where is it accessed? How has it been disseminated or made accessible? Who has limited or no access? This can include academic language or information that has not been translated into other languages. And is it behind an academic firewall or a paywall, such as a research database accessible only to those with a current subscription through a university or other institution? All information has value. Information possesses several dimensions of value, including as a commodity, as a means to influence, as a means of negotiating and understanding the world. Legal and socioeconomic interests influence information production and dissemination. What information we are exposed to and what we retain shape the way we think about the world. It is plausible to assume that large amounts of data and information are not accessible, whether outright or because of our own information-seeking habits. Remember to always give proper credit for information through citation. Remember that all information has value. It can shed light on perceptions, interpretations, experiences, and data sets. As I said before, we tend to seek out and retain information that validates a viewpoint or belief that we have. But considering information that we may find uncomfortable can be beneficial. You can evaluate the context, experience of the author, and the purpose the information was created for. Research as inquiry and scholarship as conversation. Research is iterative and depends upon asking increasingly complex or new questions whose answers in turn develop new questions or lines of inquiry in any field. In other words, if you have more questions halfway through your paper than you did when you started it, you're doing it right. Communities of scholars, researchers, or professionals engage in sustained discourse with new insights and discoveries occur over time as a result of varied perspectives and interpretations. I remember when I was working on my first master's degree in medieval archaeology in the UK. Until DNA analysis helped quash both theories, there had been a decades-long academic argument conducted through various content area journals. One researcher would write an article only to be rebutted in the next by the other researcher. Some things to consider. Treat your research as an open-ended exploration and engagement with information. Know that the first attempt at information retrieval probably will not be successful. That doesn't mean what you're looking for doesn't exist. Know that you're entering into an ongoing scholarly conversation and not a finished conversation with a winner. Academic content areas are as prone to popular ideas, topics, even fads as society is. And if you are having trouble finding the information that you need, consider why that might be so. This has been just an introduction to information literacy. It is important to know that as information becomes both more and less accessible, we keep an open but critical mind. If you have any questions, you can email me at library@feichtonschool.us. For more information on the ACRL framework and to read further why information literacy is imperative for you and your students, you can visit the ACRL website or send me an email.